powerful Iran-backed militias, warning they'll strike
U.S.
bases.
Oh my God, not an
if Trump enters the
Iran-backed
United
militia.
States into the war. The threat, quote, American bases throughout the region will become akin to duck hunting grounds. Duck hunting grounds, he says. Of course, the U.S. has bases across the Middle East, up to 40,000 troops there.
Goodness.
So some of those bases on the map, you see them.
Yeah, why the f are we out there? Has anybody ever thought to ask? Look at all these military bases. I could totally understand if Iran was posturing in the Western Hemisphere the same way. We have no room to talk. You know, if we saw Iranian bases in Hawaii, along the Pacific coast, in Mexico, in Canada, you know, and they stationed their Navy fleet on the U.S.-Mexico border, I would maybe understand our presence in the Middle East, okay? But how do you not? How are you a correspondent for some media, and you don't see the laughable absurdity that is staring you in the face? Picture's worth 1,000 words, right? We could just hold up this picture and then hold up the Iranian bases in the Western Hemisphere, and you just look at those two side by side. What does it tell you? Who is being a threat to who? We could show you two pictures, one of the American GDP and the other of the Iranian GDP. You know, by all metrics, in other words, however you want to slice it, however you want to dice it, the United States is unilaterally in charge here. And that is because empires do empire shit.
The militia also threatening to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, that is the most critical choke point for the flow of oil in the world. 21 million barrels of oil go through it every day, 20% of the world's supply. Now, that strait has never been shut before, even in times of war. And while it is obviously, therefore, very hard to imagine it happening, it's worth just remembering that a few weeks ago, nobody would have imagined that we'd be talking about what we've been talking about for the past few days. The world is on a precipice of history. Trump, though, clearly wants an off-ramp tonight. Here's the White House press secretary relaying a message from Trump during the press briefing today.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
He's like, can't we just go back to negotiating? That's what you were doing when this whole thing broke out. Why would anyone trust you
It was a direct
to
quote she had from the
negotiate?
president.
Would you trust negotiating with the United States after they backstabbed you over and over and over and over and over again? Oh, and meanwhile, they've been strangling your country economically for decades now?
Caroline Levitt was 2 weeks. And it is very important when it talks about 2 weeks and you're counting out the days to understand what that really means. So we thought it was worth pointing out this. Trump uses that exact time frame for many.
I mean, what's the over-under on the U.S. conducting their first military sortie into Iran? Is it the weekend? When is this going to happen?
I'll have a statement over the next 2 weeks on minimum wage.
We cut the cost of eggs in half in just a period of 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks. I'm 2 weeks Donny. Donny 2 weeks, they call me.
President, you know in about 2 weeks.
I'll announce it over the next 2 weeks. I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks, within 2 weeks.
Hang on. I never thought about that. That was a good supercut.
Okay, some of those things happened in 2 weeks and most didn't. But the point is he likes the time frame, okay? So 2 weeks is, well, whatever he wants it to be. In this case, though, when we talk about weeks, the word matters. Just yesterday, Trump said that before Israel attacked Iran's nuclear sites, Iran was weeks away from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Hey, they call me Taco 2 weeks. They don't call me Taco 2 weeks for nothing, eh? Yeah, you hear me?
I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one.
Now, maybe he was getting that few weeks from Prime Minister Netanyahu. But since they're using that and saying, oh, weeks away from a nuclear weapon, it is important to point out that this timeline of Iran being a few weeks away from a nuclear bomb is in direct contradiction to CNN's reporting. According to U.S. intelligence assessments, Iran is 3 years away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon if they wanted to. It is also in direct contradiction to Trump.
It's officially been 1 week since you looked at me. No, 1 week since Israel attacked Iran so far. It's been, right? Because it was last Thursday night. We were sitting here. I was texting your mom, and we were having a little laugh. And then all of a sudden, the news broke. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.